The morning sun filtered softly through the curtains of my small apartment, casting a warm glow over the piles of notebooks and scattered papers that were the lifeblood of my career as a journalist. In the quaint town of Willow Creek, nestled between whispering forests and rolling hills, stories were often as hidden as the town itself, requiring a curious mind and a keen eye to uncover. I, Emma Clark, possess wove, my latest intrigue. A legend that seemed to creep through the undercurrents of the town's quiet life. The legend of the Seamstress. My grandmother, a lifelong resident of Willow Creek, often spoke in hushed tones about a figure both feared and revered. The Seamstress, she called her. A tall thin woman of indeterminable age, with long fingers like needles and hair that tangled like spools of thread. Her eyes, grandmother said, were like cold, expressionless buttons, staring into the soul. It was said that she wove garments with magical properties, each stitch a whisper of fate and despair. But the most chilling part, no one knew where she resided, only that her creations sometimes found their way into the hands of unsuspecting townsfolk, bringing with them tales of misfortune and dread. Armed with my curiosity and a trusty voice recorder, I decided it was time to delve deeper. Could such a figure truly exist, weaving her dark magic in the shadows of our town? Or was she merely a specter of folklore, stitched into the fabric of Willow Creek's history to scare children and superstitious adults alike? I was determined to find out. As I prepared for my day, my thoughts were interrupted by a call from my mother. She had been sorting through my grandmother's attic and had found something she thought might interest me. Curiosity piqued, I promised to visit later that day, unaware that this simple decision would unravel the threads of my reality and lead me down a path entwined with mystery and fear. Little did I know, the legend of the Seamstress was about to become a terrifying part of my own story. The attic of my grandmother's house was a time capsule, filled with relics and memories of a bygone era. Dust motes danced in the beams of light that pierced through the small attic window, each object casting long, mysterious shadows. As I rummaged through the boxes, my fingers brushed against various trinkets and garments, each holding whispers of the past. Then, my hand stopped, drawn to a particular piece of clothing buried under a pile of old blankets. It was a shawl, but unlike any I had seen before. The fabric felt ancient, yet incredibly well preserved. Intricate patterns weaved through it, forming designs that seemed to shift and change as I looked at them. The stitching was impossibly fine, as if woven by something other than human hands. A chill ran down my spine. This had to be the work of the seamstress. Driven by an inexplicable urge, I draped the shawl over my shoulders. It was as if the garment molded to my form, warming and comforting yet unnerving at the same time. Almost immediately, I felt a strange sensation, as if the fabric was whispering secrets into my ear, secrets of a hidden world that lay just beyond the veil of the ordinary. I knew then that my investigation into the seamstress was no longer just a journalistic endeavor, it was a personal journey into the unknown. That night, my dreams were filled with eerie images. Shadowy figures weaving through the darkness, needle-like fingers stitching the night sky, and eyes like buttons staring into my very soul. I woke up with a start, the shawl still wrapped around me, its presence more menacing in the dim light of the early morning. The days that followed were marked by a series of odd occurrences. Shadows seemed to linger longer than they should, the wind whispered in languages I couldn't understand, and time itself felt distorted. The shawl seemed to be guiding me, pulling me towards something or someone. I couldn't resist its call. Each thread in its weave felt like a tether, drawing me closer to the heart of the legend I had set out to uncover. It was clear to me that the shawl was more than just a garment, it was a key, a bridge to the world of the seamstress. And I, Emma Clark, was about to cross it. The line between reality and the supernatural blurred, and I found myself walking a path paved with mystery and dread, a path that led to the lair of the seamstress. As days merged into nights, my life became consumed by the pursuit of the seamstress. The shawl seemed to have a will of its own, leading me through forgotten alleys and abandoned buildings of Willow Creek. I documented everything, my voice recorder a constant companion, narrating the surreal journey I found myself on. The town, under the shawl's influence, revealed itself in a new, eerie light. I uncovered tales long buried, stories of people who vanished without a trace, whispered rumors of strange happenings, and always, at the center of it all, the seamstress. Each story added a new thread to the tapestry of fear and fascination that was weaving itself around me. One night, under the shawl's compelling guidance, I found myself outside an old, decrepit house at the town's edge. The air was thick with an unspoken history, the moon casting a ghostly glow over the dilapidated structure. As I stepped inside, the floorboards creaked underfoot, the sound echoing through the empty halls like a mournful lament. In this house, time seemed distorted. The walls whispered secrets of the past, and I felt as though I was walking through a dream. Shadows played tricks on my eyes, forming shapes that vanished when I looked directly at them. I could hear faint, distant laughter, as if carried on the wind from another time. It was here that I experienced my first true encounter with the supernatural. As I explored the house, I came across a mirror, its surface clouded with age. In its reflection, I didn't see my own face, but a glimpse of the seamstress herself. Her button eyes bore into mine, a cold, calculating gaze that saw right through to my soul. Her needle-like fingers reached out, as if to pull me into the mirror. I stumbled back in terror, the image vanishing as suddenly as it had appeared. Shaken, I left the house, the shawl feeling heavier on my shoulders. Each step I took seemed to draw me deeper into a web of unexplained phenomena. Time and reality bent and twisted around me, a surreal landscape where the line between the physical and the ethereal blurred. I started to notice changes in myself. My dreams were more vivid, filled with cryptic messages and haunting visions of the seamstress's lair. My waking hours were punctuated with moments of déjà vu and eerie coincidences that defied explanation. I felt like a puppet, my strings pulled by the unseen hands of the seamstress. As I delved deeper into the mystery, the town of Willow Creek seemed to close in around me, its secrets wrapping around me like the threads of a shawl. I was no longer just an observer, I was a part of the story, a character in a play written by an unseen playwright. And as the days passed, the inevitable climax of this chilling tale drew ever closer. The journey to the heart of the mystery had transformed me. No longer just Emma Clark, journalist, I was now a traveler on a path that twisted through the realms of the unexplainable. The shawl, my constant companion, seemed to pulse with a life of its own, each thread a whisper of guidance. I found myself standing before an ancient gnarled tree at the edge of a forgotten forest, the sky above a canvas of ominous clouds. The air was thick with a sense of anticipation, as if the very earth was holding its breath. Guided by the shawl, I discovered a hidden entrance at the tree's base, leading down into the earth. Ascending into the darkness, the air grew colder, the only sound my own footsteps echoing off the stone walls. The passage twisted and turned, leading me deeper underground. Finally, it opened into a vast cavernous space, dimly lit by flickering torches. This was the lair of the seamstress. The room was filled with garments of all shapes and sizes, each more intricate and haunting than the last. The air was heavy with the scent of old fabric and something else, something ancient and otherworldly. At the center of it all stood the seamstress, her form more terrifying and mesmerizing than any description could capture. Her eyes, cold and button-like, fixed on me, and her voice, a symphony of whispers, filled the chamber. "Welcome, Emma Clark," she said, her needle fingers moving with unsettling grace. "You have been wearing my creation. Do you understand now? The power to weave fate, to stitch the fabric of reality, it is mine. And it can be yours." Her proposal was chilling. Become her apprentice, learn her dark arts, and help her in her eternal quest to control the destinies of those above. The alternative, she made clear, was to be silenced forever, my very being stitched into the tapestry of her lair, another lost soul in her collection. Panic surged through me. I was in the presence of ancient dark magic, far beyond the comprehension of my journalistic pursuits. The shawl around my shoulders tightened, as if urging me to accept her offer. But somewhere within me, a spark of defiance flickered. I couldn't let this be my end. Gathering my courage, I reached up and grasped the shawl, feeling its power surge through me. With a determined cry, I tore it from my shoulders, the fabric ripping in my hands. The seamstress screamed, a sound that echoed through the chamber like the wail of a banshee. Her power over me weakened with the destruction of her creation. Seizing the moment, I turned and ran, the lair shaking as if in the throes of an earthquake. Behind me, I could hear the seamstress's enraged cries, her spells unraveling with the loss of the shawl lay in tatters at my feet, its threads still writhing like living things. With the last of my strength, I gathered the remains and buried them deep in the forest, hoping to sever my connection to the seamstress forever. As I made my way back to the world I knew one thing for certain. My life would never be the same again. The world outside the seamstress's lair felt surreal, as if I had stepped out of a nightmare into a reality that no longer felt entirely real. My heart still raced, the echoes of her enraged screams lingering in my ears. The forest around me seemed to watch in silence, the trees standing like solemn sentinels guarding secrets too dark for the light of day. I stumbled through the town, a ghost among the living. People passed by, unaware of the horrors that lurked beneath their feet. I wanted to shout, to warn them, but what would I say? Who would believe the tale of the seamstress, a witch who wove fate and stitched reality? Back in my apartment, I sat amidst my notes and recordings, the remnants of my investigation. They seemed trivial now, mere child's play compared to the truth I had uncovered. The shawl, now just tattered fabric, lay on my table, a testament to my journey into the unknown. In the days that followed, I struggled with the decision of whether to share my story. The logical part of me argued against it, citing the impossibility of it all. But another part, the part that had felt the cold gaze of the seamstress and torn her creation, knew that silence was not an option. I wrote my article, detailing everything from the legend of the seamstress to my own harrowing experience. I left out nothing, knowing that the truth needed to be told, no matter how unbelievable it might seem. When I submitted it, I half expected it to be rejected, dismissed as the ramblings of a mind unhinged by too much time spent chasing shadows. To my surprise, it was published. The story spread like wildfire, igniting discussions and debates. Some called it a work of fiction, too fantastical to be true. Others whispered in hushed tones, sharing their own encounters with the unexplainable. The town of Willow Creek found itself at the center of a mystery that it had long tried to forget. For me, the publication of the article was not an end, but a beginning. I had torn one of the seamstress's creations, but I knew that she was still out there, weaving her dark tapestries. The thought haunted my nights, a constant reminder that the line between reality and nightmare was thinner than I had ever imagined.